this video, I want to talk about the sacred journey of the soul. So each time we decide to incarnate into physical form, it is the sacred journey in terms of the essence of what we are, inhabiting a body. And we do this to increase the understanding of the nature of what we actually are as a soul. And of course, to learn lessons, to have experiences. But what is happening so poignantly in terms of the energy of planet Earth right now is that essentially the pendulum has swung so far off of its point of balance. So for thousands and thousands of years, we've had an imbalance of the masculine polarity. And what I mean by this, obviously, is that the masculine aspect of the human connection, so the divine masculine, the divine feminine, the masculine the masculine energy took on a role whereby it dominated, so it became imbalanced and took a leadership role, but a dominance role over the energy of the feminine polarity. And by way of this imbalance, it allowed so many of its distortions. Not that the masculine is intrinsically distorted, but when the masculine polarity moves out of balance, and what we have to remember about balance is that there needs to be an equal amount of both masculine and feminine energy in their balanced state to create this equilibrium or this universal divine balance. And in terms of the system of free will, these energies are allowed to fluctuate in their natural rhythms. There is nothing within the universal structure that dictates that balance is obligated. It's through imbalance that we find context, that we find contrast, and we learn, and creation itself is allowed to migrate into different realms of knowing. Now, in terms of this current imbalance that we're seeing, part of the reason why, or a little bit of, I guess, context for you in terms of what's happening in the Great Awakening, in this state of rebalancing, part of what happened when as we are seeing this repowering or reinitiation of the feminine polarity on a global scale. So the energy of the empowered feminine, the divine feminine, coming back onto the stage, we're seeing that pushback in many ways, or the distortions of the masculine polarity also being layered onto the feminine aspects as well. So let me divulge into this a little bit more closely. So part of some of the distortion or some of the imbalance that kind of moved over or migrated into collective consciousness through thousands of years, through this dominance and projection that the masculine had onto the feminine. There was this aspect of obviously control, a devaluation or a lack of valuation on the feminine polarity, on the feminine consciousness, and what that feminine energy brings into divine union, as well as a hyperfixation from the masculine polarity with the body itself, and specifically in terms of creation energy or sexual energy. And the problem that we're seeing now is that the feminine aspect will mirror the masculine, okay? And as the masculine requests or has requested this hyperfixation on the body, on bodies, the feminine polarity or that feminine aspect has mimicked that or come full circle with becoming the image of that. So we see, especially in North America, but around the world, this greater and greater, fully exposed feminine energy in this hypersexuality. And really what that is at its core is just a fixation with the body and a disconnection with spirit. Because when we are focused in sort of a totality or in too much of a spectrum of our consciousness on the body, and we are not in touch with our spirit, we're not in touch with our emotional world, we're not in balance. And the focal point, again, is all on the body itself, the five senses, and we're really finding a disconnection in that. And I want to qualify what I mean by disconnection. People are becoming more and more isolated, more and more lonely, more and more disconnected due to the pervasive amount of images of bodies, seeming connection through digital devices, to pornography, to things that, again, are images of the body, or the mind's kind of tumbling down that rabbit hole into elevating the body above the spirit, or completely disconnecting the spiritual aspects of connection, of deep, rich, beautiful connection. And in terms of what this experience provides, it allows us, through this aspect of disconnection, to have a vantage point of what it is that connection or divine connection truly is. So by experiencing this massive wave of superficiality, essentially the body being this false idol, we have to, in our suffering, in our disconnection, realize that really truly what our soul desires is something far more dynamic and far more all-encompassing than just a body. And I would also offer the example that especially beauty, okay? Beauty is becoming so much a focal point of each and every human in terms of global collective consciousness, and this fixation on making the body more and more beautiful. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily wrong, but what it also can highlight to the consciousness is that beauty is the natural state of an aspect of creation, and that all beings are beautiful. And what we are truly looking for, or what we should truly look for, is alignment of energy. So it's more of a feeling and not something that's visual, or not something that's so physically tangible. Because again, we're seeing examples everywhere of everything that is beautiful. And when we are using our discernment, and when we're using our intelligence and our consciousness in order to magnetize towards us or pull towards us what is our divine counterpart, or our equalization or piece of energy, we need to start paying more attention, not to what is external or what is going on in the external world, but the energy that we feel when we're around other individuals, the aspects of our own energetic being. What do other energies cause within our own dynamic? How their energy brings certain things out of us. And it's this process of a deepening of the understanding of what energy is. And this is what we have come to learn. We have come to understand the non-physical through the vehicle of the physical to expand our hearts, our minds, our bodies, and our souls. And lastly, what I want to wrap this video up with is this reconnection, or what many in the divine collective community are trying to teach, is this reconnection to the sacredness of one's aura, or the sacredness of sharing one's energy. So yes, we are a soul in the container of a body, but that soul, or your soul, is very sacred. And to share your energy, that very beautiful part of yourself, the most intimate part of yourself, with too many others, creates an energetic dissonance. And truly, the most beautiful expression of divine love